Good evening, lords and ladies of the unbelievability. It's Saturday, March 14th, and I hope you had a wonderful day. Here, the weather has been weird. All the snow was gone, so I was looking forward to hang out on the terrace. And then yesterday, like 20 centimeters of snow, so now the door is jammed again. So today I told you I decided to stream because a lot of interesting things uh, in history for us to look at. So, and I've been working on my software and adding connections and things like that. So, yeah, now I can interact with my thing. So, tonight we meet at the observatory downtown, not to be confused with the observatory down uptown. Very important because there's observatories everywhere in Pine Hill. So I create these images from buildings that I made like a really long time ago. And so now I instruct, like I have created a city, and it has its own style of buildings. It has its own uptown, downtown, there's an park, everything. There's the best part is the tourist ghetto. And so I can now just like blend the buildings and make up streets with all the buildings that I want, and it's kind of nice. I mean, if I when I try to make videos from this though in Sora, it doesn't work because anyhow. But yeah, I'm happy that I can have all of the libraries that I made such a long time ago, and I can regenerate them and make them better. So now I make astonishingly complicated buildings like this. Well, not that one is not complicated, but this is a building that comes from one of my very old image, like it's years old. And yeah, and then I ask Laura to give me the inside, and it gives me the inside. I'm just like so happy. It's kind of fun. So I have like way wilder buildings than that. It's just that, you know, anyhow, next time it'll be in another place, and eventually you'll know the entire town because you'll have seen all of the places. So I added the new slide because I always wonder, like, I should tell you how many people I've looked at in the last 6 years, and it's 22,832 people. Yay, stats! And I have 11,475 events so far. So these are all across 500 years. So these are all events that have to do with the emancipation of humanity and the war against the enemy of humanity. So yeah, it's a lot of milestones. But right now what I'm doing is I'm continuing my work to make timelines because there's, I've been studying the 22 secret societies that have been running the show for the last 25, 50 years. And this is a ghost army operation. So, oh, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday that there was a battleship that was, the U.S. Navy posted a video, and they have the Ghost Army logo on their ship. So when you pay attention, to what the army is doing, you see the Ghost Army logo pop up here and there. And these are all official communications that come from the US Army, so we can sort of see what's going on. If you watch the news only, you won't find out what's going on in the world. You have to go into the reading room of the DHS, the CIA, the Navy, Space Force, and all these things, and then you can see what's going on. Because the US media absolutely does not talk about what is newsworthy. They only huff and puff about what people might be thinking, about the worst thing that could happen. So I think that the media is being very transparently incompetent right now, so people can see. There was this CNN host. Her name is Abby Phillips, I think. She was like live, on air denying reality, and I think everybody noticed. So now there's this huge campaign to get her fired because she's not really like a journalist. And yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but they're doing it on purpose. The old media is supposed to die. It's been dead for a long time, but it's supposed to be it, people are supposed to see how the news is fake and then choose on their own to not watch the news. Generally speaking, the viewership of the news, like CNN, the news station that's inside a police station, if you've ever noticed, like that station is doing it on purpose. I think that Don Lemon recently did something stupid. He did that on purpose. Like everybody is doing stupid things on purpose so that people wake up. Okay, I've done finished my sound check. All right. So the last time around, I like my sound was going in and out. I don't know if it's going to do that tonight as well, but I hope it's going to be better. I'm speaking louder so that I don't hit the thresholds, and you know that's the thing. So today I have 4 people on my docket for the birthdays. Got the right thing. So I have Umberto one of Italy. Was it yesterday or something like that that we had the assassination of Umberto of Italy? So he has 2 events. He has his assassination attempt, which happened on the 17th of November of 1878, his very first year as the King of Italy. And then there's his successful assassination later on. And it also occurred at just about his birthday. And the thing is that when you see a psyop in the news, like a fake, like a staged death, for instance, or there's somebody comes along, does something that warrants, like jump over an activist to throw a bomb at protesters, like somebody, there's always something like that happening. Like the person who's doing that action is usually doing it on their birthday. And this is from the Death Takes a Holiday group, which was co-founded by Umberto I of Italy, right? So watch for these clues. Nobody's hiding. Everybody's trying to be super obvious. And the idea is get like the idea is to maximally upset and disenfranchise people who are parasitic, and they hang out, like they hang on the royal families. But this can be done with everybody. So what you see is you always see like something coming out first and attracting all the attention. Meanwhile, something better is just waiting in the wings. The first thing fails and the second thing becomes successful. And so this is always on purpose. So when Umberto of Italy was crowned, that was in February of, was it February or April? April, I think. No, February of 1878, like he was a new guy. So everybody needs to, go bother him to have access and be above the law and all this stuff. And then he gets almost assassinated. So for a moment, all of his parasites think, "Oh no, he's dead." So now they have to go to the next guy. So it's kind of these operations are a way to always keep the hangers on profoundly destabilized. It's still going on today. So yeah, so he was crowned in January of 1878, and he was assassinated the second time on July 29th, 1900. Oh, look at him. So he has the biggest mustache, and all the people who are in the anti-death squad, um, death takes a holiday. They all have immense and weird mustaches, but more often immense than anything else. So this is how you're dealing with somebody who dies often. So I have an event for him. So he's very important. He collaborated with the Pope, even though outwardly people think that they didn't like each other. But he was collaborating. He was mentored by Pope Pius IX. Pope Pius IX passed away a few months after Umberto was crowned, and so we have um, we have a source that comes from the church. So 9 months before Umberto was born, the Free Church of Scotland was disrupted from the Church of Scotland. So there was a chasm, like in the church. But anyhow, that was Thomas Chalmers, and he's born on March 17th, 1780. He's got a double 17 in his meta, and that matters. So yeah, double 17s are like Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin is a quadruple 17. But like he was born on the 17th and he died on the 17th. So people like this, like they were working on contrast. So the number 17 is the technology of contrast, which is where people fight in order to advance a narrative. But they don't actually hate each other. Hate is a hoax. So the next person I'm going to name is going to be controversial. I will tell you the exact same story again. So you're going to see the twin. It's always two people at the same time. So there's Umberto and his twin is a bridge. And you will see that his twin does the work that goes along with what Umberto was doing. So Thomas Chalmer, and I've attributed him to Mary Baker Eddy just because she's the top person, the top woman in terms of people who found churches. She's the founder of the Church of Christ Scientist, and Thomas Chalmers is the founder of the Breakaway Church of Scotland. So the Free Church of Scotland. So the foundation of churches is very important in the family of Plus Ultra, and so they go together. People come together when they have themes or they're compatible in terms of what they do. So Mary Baker Eddy is the mother of Thomas Edison because she has a sense of humor, because he's Thomas Edison. And so he's her gift to humanity. And she named him Thomas Alva Edison because Alva means light. And the oh, now they're mixed up. Oh, great. It reloaded. Oh, great. So yeah, um, like I was saying, King Umberto is the half brother of Thomas Edison. So if you have time, you can compare pictures if you want. Want to have fun? So Umberto has, in fact, a doppelganger. He has a twin. Everybody's born two by two, and they form a bridge. So the other guy was born about 10 days apart, or registered into the permanent record 10 days apart. And he's an American anti-vice crusader. So he's working. It's like Comstock was working, like on. So what they did basically is that Umberto and his court would entertain people and tell them juicy stories about what was going on in the United States. So they'd say like, "Oh, we heard there was this like murder mention in Chicago, like I wonder who goes there." And so make they would distribute rumors, convenient rumors that would cause murder hobbyists, because this is kind of like the sort of person we don't want in the world. So murder hobbyists, like people who are so rich that they have a murder hobby for fun, like Patrick Bateman. Anyhow, so the idea the court would distribute rumors, and then people would start to make arrangements to go to the United States because they wanted to, like do all the crazy things that people are doing in the far west, like shooting each other and stuff like that. And so the every time there's an international exhibition or a universal exhibition in the United States, it's a time when people, nefarious people from Europe, would have, an occasion to come to the United States and try to get in on some of the underground entertainment. So let's call it underground entertainment. And yeah, so this is a setup that's been going on for 150 years. Every few years there's a universal exhibition, and before the universal exhibition there's always juicy rumors about something happening in the city that's hosting that is a not miss, for the worst people in Europe. So, and then a person like Anthony Comstock, like he's directly related to Umberto. So he's got a direct line with Umberto. Umberto's saying, "Oh, you got to watch out for that guy, that guy, that guy." And this isn't just like the royal families that are doing this. It's actually the religious organizations, because we just went through Mary Baker Eddy, and we just went through the Church of Scotland, the Free Church of Scotland. And so it's the religious leaders, like the very top, or the Pope, that wind up finding out about who are the worst people in the world, because it's like there's confession, and people tell stuff to the priest. And so like when a really really bad person is detected via this thing, the priest has to kind of report up. If somebody says, well, there's this murderer running around and he's a hobbyist and he kills people, and well, this has to go up. It bubbles up, all the way to the Pope or the Cardinal. And then it's these people that coordinate together to create a situation that will attract the worst people in the world to their doom. In 1870, that was the beginning, right? This started in 1865 with Abraham Lincoln and Alan Pinkerton. So if you want to have fun, go look at when Alan Pinkerton was born. Then go look at when Prince Albert, who married Queen Victoria, when he was born. Then you take pictures of them and you put them next to each other, and you'll realize the guys look exactly the same. See? Isn't that fantastic? And not only this, but funnily enough, Alan Pinkerton married a woman Joan Caffrey was it her name, who is a descendant also from members of the Church of Scotland. Because they're very much these people were doing a lot of obviously if the Free Church seceded from the church, it means that they were doing contrast operations in order to audit church, right? So whenever you see people fighting, people getting fired and stuff like that, it means there's an audit in process. And so you can follow up on what's going on. But this has become exceedingly well, like right now there's like a yearly audit cycle that's running, and every single year or in the December there is an industry leader that takes the that is humiliated in the media, and so that's how you know he's the one that has successfully completed his audit cycle. And because the Ghost Army only uses negative news in order to communicate their successes, all the haters are perpetually satisfied as they watch Donald Trump get humiliated in the press, because they don't know that this is the articles that are listing every one of his wins. And that's why unbelievability is the greatest encryption system in the world. So this image is very nice, but it doesn't do justice to his mustache. Certainly, you gotta go see his pictures. Look at his mustache. I have to add pictures in, but yeah. So the next one, Milton. Marilyn Monroe's favorite Milton. So Milton Green, you know him as a photographer. He's a celebrity photographer. He's one of the best celebrity photographers of the 20th century. And he did a whole bunch of photo shoots with Marilyn Monroe and started a production company with her. They made only one film. But the thing is with that is that he inherited, like if anybody inherited Marilyn Monroe's money, it's him, because he was her business partner. And this money went to his son, and then his son took all the money, and then he digitized all of his dad's work, which is absolutely fabulous because again, Milton Green is a great photographer beyond the fact that he took pictures of Marilyn Monroe. And so he was Marilyn's great friend. And he was, after she finished her role and she was removed from the stage, August 1962, he was one of the people who was a bridge to her. So if you wanted to send a message to Marilyn Monroe, you had to go see Eddie Fisher or Milton Green. These were her two people who were in touch with her. So when so now I'm looking at the things that happened when Milton Green was conceived to get a sense of, where he comes from and how he assembles with the other people around Marilyn Monroe. So when he was conceived, Constance Bennett eloped to get married. So she married a student of the University of Virginia. I don't have anything about him. I should look him up. But anyhow, that happened at this around the same time that Charles Evans Hughes had an event. So he's the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court in 1910. He was elected on 10-10-10 and unanimously. And he was the 44th U.S. Secretary of State and also the 36th Governor of New York. So he is one of the most well positioned and connected people in my database of fathers. He's also super duper handsome. So yeah, so I really like him. So my own grandmother, who raised me when I was a kid, is registered to him. Very handsome, and she was very pretty too. Oh, for fuck's sake! We're gonna see soon how these coincidences go. All right, if I do this, let's do we'll get back to it keeps reloading. I'm sorry. So today is also the birthday. We have two kings of the circus here, right? And you're gonna see it emerge. We have an Albert Einstein. What is the Albert Einstein is the king of the circus in the sense that he's I don't know how to explain this. Eventually, I'll make it's going to be easier when you say you see the person he reincarnated as and how he exemplifies the role of the king of the circus. So, Albert Einstein, born March 14, 1879. So, the theory of relativity of Albert Einstein is pretty cool, but the theory of relatives of Marilyn Monroe is even better. Everybody is related to Marilyn Monroe. So his conception event was happened in Cyprus. It was a secret convention between the Ottoman Empire and the United Kingdom. So that's Abdulhamid II was the vizier of the Ottoman no, the Sultan. He was Sultan of the Empire. So Albert Einstein is the reincarnation of Abdulaziz, who was this guy's uncle who died 3 years earlier. And the reason for that is that Abdulaziz had a girlfriend in the West. He was a patron of the arts, and he was spending a whole bunch of time in Paris and London. He had a girlfriend there, but his mom was famously not nice. She was not nice to him, and she was certainly wasn't nice to his girlfriend, and she actually abused his girlfriend in front of everybody. You can look it up. It's written out. So this profoundly angered the mothers in England, and so it was Alexandra of Denmark, the next queen of England, who took care of arranging the conception of Albert Einstein. And instead, he's supposed to be a king. Albert Einstein is a king. He's supposed to be a king, but he's trying to not be a king. So he was reincarnated as a science diplomat. So we have Princess Vilma Love Parlegy, who was the 14-year-old translator in the Death Takes a Holiday group in Turin. So I've talked about her many times. So she was 15 at that time. So time for the first conception. So Princess Alexandra of Denmark is Princess Vilma's mother, genetic mother. And Princess Vilma was working for her mom, like discreetly. She was a painter. And so she could get around, and do a whole bunch of things. So she was a spy master. So, of course, everybody has a twin. And Alfred, a twin who is associated to the process of telling stories, by the way. That's very important. There's always one twin who's telling the story and one twin who, like doing more things, wearing more hats than we know. So Alfred Abel and Albert Einstein. Alfred and Abel and Albert Einstein. So the name Abel is interesting. It's always associated to an interesting person because you have the old Cain and Abel, Cain versus Abel. So yeah. All right, so now we have the reincarnation of Albert Einstein into Albert II. Isn't that convenient? He's the Prince of Monaco, and he was also born March 14, but in 1958. So Prince Albert's job is he is the executive that governs the Fédération Internationale du Cirque. Well, I have to say it in French because, yeah. And so with Stephanie, his little sister. So both of them, they are the executives of this Federation of the Circus, and they put on a international festival of the circus every year in Monaco. And so that's his service. That's his main job is to preserve the circus. So thank you, Prince Albert of Monaco. My father went to his 17th birthday and they ate shark apparently. And when my dad told me this, he showed me a picture of himself, with Jacques Cousteau was also at that party because Albert's dad is an oceanographer. They're very much into oceanography and bottom of the ocean projects. And so my dad got a picture of himself with Jacques Cousteau, and he showed me this picture, and I'm like, oh my god, my dad was hanging out with the most important man in the world. I couldn't believe it, but then he told me they ate shark, and when I was 6 years old, like I didn't know that people ate shark. Like I thought that was kind of weird. I thought that was very very exotic. Today you can get shark at the grocery. Like everybody eats shark, but anyhow, in 78, 77. Wow. When was it? Was he was 17 in 19 yeah. When back then, like it was very exotic. Anyhow, so there's that. So my dad is related to the Monaco royal family. But it's like, my dad is in the top secret scientific silo. So we're not directly connected to anybody. I've never actually hung out with anybody famous or any royals when I was a kid. I've never had any jobs that were given to me because of this sort of stuff. I've always been my own thing. I left home when I was almost 17 years old. And yeah, I'm yeah, always doing stuff like that. Oh, there is a Monte Carlo International Circus Festival. I have the list. All right, so 9 months and 1 day before he was born, the very first film created by Marilyn Monroe and Milton Green, who was also born on March 14, came out. Now I'm giving you many, many, many coincidences tonight, but it's not everybody who understands or knows about probability, right? So I'm not expecting that you understand that the probability of this is incredibly low, but, you can watch the coincidences and let them exist. Coincidences exist for you to find them and they don't perish. So anyhow, so this is Laurence Olivier and Marilyn Monroe in the film that discloses Marilyn Monroe's real job, and it's called The Prince and the Showgirl. So Marilyn Monroe was the showgirl, and she was presented to a whole bunch of princes, and then she could hang out with them and watch the freaking movie, where she's, you know, eating canapes, and Laurence Olivier is on the phone, and he's talking about, Americans and the Americans and the Americans, and Marilyn Monroe is listening, and she's eating canapes, and Laurence Olivier keeps saying, he says, there's nobody here, we can talk, because he's got a girl in his office, but he doesn't want to tell anybody that he's got a girl in his office. So yeah, this is why the girl is always the most important part of the story that nobody sees. So 68 years ago, on June 13, 1957, the film The Prince and the Showgirl from Marilyn Monroe Productions was released. All right. So the other event. Oh, here's the thing. In plus ultra, you don't get paid. You make gifts all your life, but you never get paid. Of course, if your gift is a movie, you'll get paid. But like most people, they do it. They want to offer their work as a service. So technically, Albert Einstein offered his work as a gift, and yeah. So, but you do get a perk though. Albert Einstein got to choose his next parents. And do you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to be sexy. And we'll come back to Milton because there's something interesting. So he wanted to be sexy. So our dude is Elvis Presley. And do you see the difference? Do you see the similarity? So Elvis Presley, and I attributed him to his own mom because logistics. But yeah, you'll see his who I don't know if his twin is written into the thing. Now you're supposed to look at them and behind Albert, he has something important. It's diamonds, right? So Marilyn Monroe sings the song "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend." But what she means is harlequins. So this is double entendre. So I find the picture of Albert to be absolutely adorable because he has everything he needs in his picture. And he's wearing the sash, like all the guys that all the princes that are dancing behind Marilyn Monroe in um, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. That's her Pink Lady performance. And so she sings Diamonds, Our Girl's Best Friend. They're clowns. However, Marilyn Monroe's job in the 50s was to vacuum well, all of the girls who were, like trying to seem like gold diggers in her time, what they were doing is they were vacuuming diamond gifts because it was the same time that the South Africans were perfecting the identification of diamonds just to see if they come from a conflict diamond mine or from like a mine that doesn't use children to mine diamond. And so this was done in the 50s because you have to remember that the diamond is the currency of slavery, so it's the currency of human trade. So if you trade in people whole or in part, you need to use diamonds, and you need to have a diamond banker somewhere who's going to help you. So this is the story that is explained in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, because you'll see that Charles Coburn in this film, he's a diamond mine executive. So yeah, so they're all disclosing what they used to do because before Marilyn Monroe was the showgirl, she was the lap pet, and so she used to sit on the lap of Charles Coburn when she was a teenager at parties, so that people would think that Charles Coburn, he was playing the role of a diamond executive. They thought that he had disposable girlfriends. He would always have a different girlfriend, and this is the sort of the same thing that Jeffrey Epstein did. He's always tries to come off as the guy who has too many ladies for just one guy. He has extra girlfriends to pass around. This is also the role that Hugh Hefner played, too many ladies for just one guy. But look at Bob Barker, though. Bob Barker is the best representation of the guy with too many ladies for just one guy. And he never had to do anything tawdry. Like he just had to have, like the media would refer to his hostesses on The Price is Right as the Barker beauties. So it kind of makes it seem like they belong to him. So this is the sort of double entendre that totally like activates the lust-based people, and then they start to look for a way, to meet the guy who has too many ladies for just one guy. Oh, Dean Martin did this with his Gold Diggers. Frank Sinatra did this. Max Sennett did this with his Baiting Beauties. And of course, well, there's, like the very official reviews, like the beauty reviews, like Ziegfeld and all that. So yeah, so showing women is actually a job. It's you have to be an exhibition class asset in order to show beauty. So we were looking before, we were looking at um, Mr. Green. Let me find him again. Yes. We did see that Milton Green, who made the Prince and the Showgirl with Marilyn Monroe, was born on March 14. So all so far, I've shown you three guys. They all go together. Eventually, I'm just going to have a little tally on my page. That's what I'm working on right now because every single day you have to notice that we're hitting the same stuff again and again. Everything is scheduled perfectly on time so that the future can tell that everything is going to plan. Are we the future or am I just a man in the middle, a woman in the middle, looking into stuff that I'm not supposed to? Time will tell. So he has a twin, and Green has a twin. So Jack Kerouac, the American novelist and poet. Yeah, his title doesn't show up. He's a man who holds a cat. So the men who hold cats are they're doing disclosure in their work, right? So whenever you see a man holding a cat, expect disclosures. Except Sam Harris, he holds. I'll show him his pictures eventually, but there's like people who also make jokes about this, the whole process of holding cats. But yeah, some people pose next to lions. Some writers hold cats. They make a point to hold a cat in their photo, like Hemingway, for instance, right? This is a very specific class of writers. They're all, you can see them based on this. So I don't really have any Jack Kerouac disclosures, but Hemingway, I have a whole bunch of stuff for him. So you can appreciate that they look similar. Shouldn't these people look more different, right? If they were born within 2 days, but they were born at the same time. It's just like 50% of the babies that are born in the Plus Ultra network, they stay with the person who gave birth to them, and the twins, they go live with the extended family. So there's always like a day or 2 days in between the people because that's how, like, there's travel time basically. So the parents will show up and back in their town with their new baby, and they register the baby, and they don't register the baby on the exact same date as the other one most of the time because there has to be a day or two so that we don't notice this. Also, for Milton Green, it's very very important that his birthday be March 14 because it's after Umberto. So he's doing a continuity of what Umberto started, and he also has to announce the fact that Albert too will be born on March 14 later on. And he's going to be wearing the costume from the film that Marilyn Monroe and Milton Green make. So Jack Kerouac, his disclosure comes down from him. So he's you can compare, you can look at Christopher Nolan and go look 280 days before Christopher Nolan was born, and you'll find a Jack Kerouac book. Christopher Nolan and his brother as well are with Interstellar, with Westworld. They are the most proactive. Batman Begins as well. That's another well-timed film. These are all disclosures, and they're all milestone timers. So yeah, we've already done Albert. Yeah. All right. So I've done my four people. Why do I have to go back all the way up? Ah, 5 events. So, I changed something. Maybe it's not going to work. But 62 years ago is when Jack Ruby was found guilty of murdering Lee Harvey Oswald. I mean, it must be true. It was on live TV. Oh, damn it. So I have 5 sets of doppelganger today. So at this point, I have 4,435 twins. So that's like 2,200 people that match up, that look exactly alike as 2,200 others. They're always born in the same week, but within a few days. It has to be I don't care about coincidences unless they're double coincidences. So I'm going to show you double coincidences now. And then I have 542 alternate identity for the people whom I already have in my database. So eventually I'll just do alternate identity. So you can see how people who commit murders or die, in the most obsessed about cases in the 20th century, you'll see that they go on and they do other things afterwards. So they go back to working in entertainment. So all of the things that you see on the news, they're acted out by very good actors. They're written by award-winning writers, and they're directed by award-winning directors. So that's what I do. When I see an event occur, I try to go back to see who wrote this event and who directed it. All right, so we start with Grimes and with Sasha Grey. So they were born within 3 days in March 1988. Sasha is from the south of the United States. Grimes is from Vancouver. So Grimes is the co-parent of Elon Musk. They have 2 or 3 kids together at this point. I don't know. And yeah, so that's her. Of course, you don't recognize her in this image, of course, because it's an image of her without the teching from before she, like started looking grimy, basically. But that's her look. And then on the right, you have Sasha Grey. And she's a porn star, but then she started making mainstream films, and I think now she's a streamer. And the only thing I remember about her is that she was homeschooled. Anyhow, that's the thing about her. But this is there's 4 girls who look similar in this group, and so I decided to add another group. We're gonna start with Sasha Grey, born March 14, and Grimes, born March 17. Again, she has 17 in her name because she does contrast operations. All right, so now I have Tercephora Maras and Michelle Torres. So I just wanted to show you this. This goes with the next one. Unfortunately, they're mixed up. So Michelle Torres is a female outreach coordinator for Region 10, which is Alaska. And this person is not hiding. She's everywhere. I've watched videos of her where she was preparing, for the because she takes care of children. So they had this event. And so she's on the Homeland Security website. You can Google her. Michelle Torres FEMA. You'll see her profile. She's the Facebook operator of the web page. So that's why I saw her and I'm like, oh, I know this person. I've seen her before. And on the right is Tercephora Maras, who is Tori, the chaos coordinator on X. And she's a conspiracy theorist who who specifically talks about underground bases, like deep underground bases and child trafficking in deep underground bases. Anyhow, but I don't really follow. Like I know she has a following. Like I had a reader who got really mad at me when I told her, "Oh yeah, your chaos coordinator works for FEMA." And she got really really mad at me because of course, like the people are very partisan to the conspiracy theorists that they accept as their lord and savior. And so after that, they start making fun of people who are doing conspiracy theories, disclosures and other things. But anyhow, that's why I don't want an audience, because I'm doing research and I'm finding interesting information. and I'm kind of having fun in my little bubble. I don't need more than 100 readers, and I'm okay with everybody else hating me because I tell them who their favorite conspiracy theorist is in everyday life. You know, like all of these people are professionals. They are chaos coordinating. Tori has the most Tori has an excellent disclosure. The disclosure is supposed to be in the title. The disclosure is supposed to be in the name. She is chaos coordinator, and she also says that I don't exist. You know that's her thing. That's her slogan. That's true. She is both a chaos coordinator, and she also doesn't exist. But like she still provides a service on Twitter. It's very, very important for Homeland Security to measure the likelihood of lynch mobs. And you're gonna know why soon. Do I have the lynch mob thing? Why do I not have the lynch mob thing? Yeah, I have other events. Yeah, this thing that also happened on March 14th. So this is today is the day that David Hennessy died. He was killed. No, no, it's not the day that it's the day that the lynch mob killed 11 Italians in New Orleans because they just been found innocent of the murder of the police chief. So lynch mobs. This is lynch, lynch, lynch. Keep that word. Remember that word. All of it, everything goes together. You won't believe it. Homeland Security measures the likelihood of lynching in the general population because that's the worst thing that regular people can do is lynching. They do it online a lot, like the whole cancel culture. This is people who have a lynching mentality and they are forming groups in order to harass people online and get them to lose their job and also um, like be canceled. Um, and so this is people who have the lynching mentality. So all the employees of DHS, of Space Force, of CIA, and the Army, the FBI, that all of the services that have to do with national security, um, that have to do with national security, they are also maintaining an additional identity. They're all professionals. They're all mandated by their service to do what they're doing. They're not being a conspiracy theorist on the internet as a secret, right? They're not going to lose their job at Homeland Security because they just so happen to be writing conspiracy theories about deep underground bases on Twitter. No, this is on purpose. This is The Edge. This is the official story of The Edge, which is a compelling story that stops people in their tracks so they don't go beyond, right? So if you find the conspiracy theorist you like on X and you follow that person. And so what they're going to do is that they're going to post convenient information at convenient times, and they already know who in their followers are colleagues and who in their followers are regular people, right? And so they distribute rumors to see, and people share these rumors, so they're able to study the network of people. It's called link tracing. So anyhow, so I was showing you the event of the police chief of New Orleans. So there was a lynch mob because that killed him, but he is how do I say this? He doesn't appear to be dead because 9 months after there was this is Harold Alexander who was born. And he's a British general, supreme commander of the Allied forces at quarters in the Mediterranean. He's also known as Alexander of Tunis. So he was our man in Tunis while there was a lot of flyovers over Damn it. Well, there were a lot of flyovers in Africa to document uncontacted tribes. Like I don't mean tribes that have never been contacted. It's just like settlements of people who trade in people who don't want anybody else to find them. So anyhow, so Americans were and the British also were sponsoring aviators to fly over Africa a lot in order to map settlements, and this was based on information that was protected in documents that came from the 18th century when Europeans were buying shiploads of slaves to ship them to the US because they were absentee landlords. I know I'm going over a lot of important history, but what I study is every single event, every single milestone from people who have the authority. I'm not following employees, I'm following the boss. And they disclose everything that they do. He was also Governor General of Canada at some point. So he looks exactly like David Hennessy. So that's why right now, I'm doubting this whole story of the lynch mob because the lynch mob is the very, very worst thing that could happen. So the strategy of the national security people who know everything that's gonna be happening soon is to steal the crime and m- do as if it happened, you know? So yeah, there's 11 Italians that I need to find because they're not dead. So sometimes I can find these people. Sometimes I find, like, but if you look into the history of the United States, there's a lot of stories that are similar to this because it's the most awful thing that regular people can get up to is lynch mobs. So it was Pink Lady and Jeff. If you want to watch something awful, just watch Pink Lady and Jeff. So this was the March 14th was the number 2. It's the one that had Larry Hagman, Donny Osmond, Teddy Pendergrass, and Sid Caesar. The point of Pink Lady is to showcase the children of Marilyn Monroe, and you'll see that Hugh Hefner was on because he was, working with Marilyn Monroe and proudly presenting all the Marilyn Monroe children. So in the picture that you have on the left, you have me and Kay, who are the Japanese band called Pink Lady. And I think that both of them are children of Marilyn Monroe and Donny Osmond as well. So in this episode, you can see them singing "We Are Family" together, and it's a disclosure for the future. This is something that I saw after I had already cataloged me and Kay and Donnie as children of Marilyn Monroe. So when I saw them singing this song, I started crying. I'm like, oh my God, because nobody's hiding. Nobody is hiding. They all want you to figure it out. You can figure this out. And there's enough mysteries and, well, there's enough riddles in popular culture to occupy thousands of people for decades. So I don't mind if somebody else started doing what I'm doing because they're never going to wind up talking about the same stuff that I talk about. So yeah, so you have Larry Hagman, Suyo, me, Pendergrass, Mark Evanier. He's one of the writers. So he worked on Garfield and Grew the Wanderer. Um, yeah, so you're going to see the writers as well. Mark Evanier's son has a blog that is absolutely fantastic. And I often find a lot of cool information there. We have Sid Caesar. Sid Caesar was a half brother of Marilyn Monroe. Kiko Matsuda. And then I have 15 people that have this event as their thread post. It's going to take a while if I go through all of them, but there's Baron Vaughn, So he did the revival of the Mystery Science Theater 3000. I'm sorry, the text is really hard to read on this background. I'm gonna fix that. Now I have to compare him to everybody. I'm thinking Sid Caesar, but I don't have the other party. I'm just comparing all the people who were born 9 months later to uh to the people on the show. Sincerely, I think that Jake Gyllenhaal is from Larry Hagman. But he doesn't do the disclosures that I would expect from somebody that comes from Larry Hagman though. So, yeah. But Christina Aguilera. So, Christina Aguilera pulled the sudden change, in her persona at some point. And people noticed this. They were like, "Oh, she was like the nice girl, oh, blah," and then suddenly she becomes a sex bot. And everybody noticed this because it was noticeable. And yeah, but she's not the last I haven't seen her in a long time because the last time I saw her on stage, it wasn't her. It was her body double who was doing the performance. So it was probably like a clone psyop or something. But it's the time when Virginia, her body double, was wearing a dildo on stage, which is completely déplacé. Of Marla, Chris. Ah, see, mm. All these people look the same because this person, I don't have anything about him, and this is just a note. Yeah, there's a lot of people whom I don't have any information. I haven't done their thing yet. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go back up here. We're gonna do the doppelgangers again. So we'd already done Grimes with. Okay, so again, see, I told you Tori, the chaos coordinator, Michelle, the chaos coordinator. No, that the not chaos coordinator, the homeland coordinator. And the next one, let's see, what will we get next? Oh, get Mark Carney. So Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, he's pretty hot right now. Well, anyhow, he has a body double, of course, on the right. Everybody who's somewhat important has a body double. Mark Carney's operations. So okay, so showing us Williamson first. Wait. See Kevin Williamson? He's the guy who made the Scream series of horror films. So from these films, there's the audio is used in order to help voice actors create conviction media, which is part of that system of convenient rumors that are distributed to people. So if so it's, this is kind of hard to discuss because I have to go into the details of why videos of murder are distributed. But this is done to support American politicians in their beyond the stage role, where they're trying to come off as the worst people in the world, so that the worst people in the world will come to the United States in order to meet them. One of these people is Hillary Clinton. She has a Wikipedia page with all the people she supposedly murdered, right? I don't think Hillary Clinton has murdered anyone, but she is the principal actress of this Truman Show, the reverse Truman Show that sells American politicians as incredibly evil. And for that, there needs to be torture videos, there needs to be murder videos. and there needs to be media, to prove that the to prove that the people like Hillary Clinton really are, the body bag people. So anyhow, so Kevin Williamson, he's born on the same day, within 2 days of Mark Carney, who's now the PM of Canada. But what is more important about Mark Carney is that he was the governor of the Bank of Canada from 2008 to 2013. And this is the Cannibal Festival. Like, this is the moment where in Washington, D.C., there was a cannibal culture, and there was a whole bunch of people celebrating the fact that they were going to be in power for the next 100 years. And just because Barack Obama had been elected and Barack Obama is the pizza president, you can just you just go into X or go into the GIFs, the animated GIFs, and do Obama pizza. And you have Obama, like dancing on a pizza. And so when Barack Obama was elected in the United States, he is insanely popular in the Eastern world, like in the Middle East, going all the way to Japan, like, and specifically in Indonesia, Malaysia, and those places. And these are the targets of attraction. Like, are the people that are being attracted into the United States or in Canada. Important. Canada has a very specific set of human rights laws. The United States has its own set of rights laws. So it's possible to invite stupid people to get themselves into legal jeopardy in Canada or in the United States. But again, this is all make believe, and people get arrested once they've signed a contract. Because, let's do it profesh. You have to sign a contract and you have to pay everybody who's going to help you be a murder hobbyist in the United States, right? You want to go on a human hunting safari in a city and shoot people drive by. You have to sign a contract. You have to pay everybody who's going to help you. And so this is the evidence that is used in order to arrest people once they step onto American or Canadian soil. It depends. Canada has more of like a cloning psyop, and in the United States, it's more like it's like a murder hobbyist psyop. So if you this started with Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln suspended habeas corpus, and for anybody who is an invader, a rebel, or a traitor. That's why in the United States there's a treason festival every 4 years when Donald Trump is elected, uh, because the United States is trying to get rid of all the traitors, so it's giving everybody the occasion of being a traitor. You can be a traitor if you're a regular person in the United States. Nothing's going to happen to you, most likely, but it's kind of like a proof that Americans are free. I mean, people keep saying if they say they're not free, it's like, my God, you, an American, you are free to go on the internet and insult random people you've never met before all day long. This is what people do on the internet in the United States. And then they dare say they're not free. Look, come on. Like, it's astonishing how much freedom you have in the United States. So yeah. Oh, he was also the governor of the Bank of England from 2013 to 2020. So these are two stages that I track. It's very convenient because he's, well, he's kind of important, and he works with Justin Trudeau. They're not at odds. Well, in their backstage relationship, they are at odds, but it's not like this is an act. Justin Trudeau also has a body double who screams for him. So yeah. So all of this is a play. All right. So Tori that I told you about before, like, there's three girls in a twin set because Tori doesn't exist. So the actual twin of Michelle Torres, the Homeland Security person, is Emily Stuffle. Do you know who Emily Stuffle is? She was born today in 78. She was the wife of David Lynch and is the mother of his youngest daughter. And they're estranged. They were estranged recently when he passed away, but she's still an important person in his life. Again, bing bing bing, the word Lynch. So the wife of David Lynch, born on March 14, the same day as the lynching in New Orleans. You understand that everything goes together? So the actual twins are Emily Stoffel and Michelle Torres. And Terceforas Maras, I know that's her name because she ran for office. That's why I have her information. I would not know who she is had she not run for office. So I found her information on the open politics thing. Anyhow, that was a long time ago. Last one today. Okay, so these two they go with Grimes and Sasha Grey. Again, you need the body double to be acting out in the supposed material that is distributed to people so they'll think the politicians are awful. So the woman on the left, well, she's a member of my family actually. She's a beautiful actress from Quebec. So Catherine is from Quebec. Um, um, Elise Boucher, like the Grimes, she's from Vancouver. But they're both of them are French Canadian. And then on the right hand side, you have Caroline Johnson, and she is the wife of Boris Johnson. So as you can see, they look similar enough so that one can pass for the other, right? And then so in this group of four women who look relatively the same, at least enough so that they could be impersonated by a double, you have a British person, you have two Canadian person, and you have someone who has an American passport. And so if you want to do something about a traitor, their intentions have to be witnessed by two people, two citizens of the United States. So that's the gimmick, right? You Grimes has such a complex personal style that anybody can impersonate her. They just have to wear her costume. It's the same with Kid Rock. So all of these people who have a very intense personal look, they can be impersonated by anybody. And then everybody at the party who like they're usually that's the work of the Faces group that my family belongs to is that when they're younger, they get invited to parties. And it's a party and the prime minister is going to be there and everybody is in on a joke except one person, one international who is being vetted by the national security community. And so they come into this group, they see, oh my God, everybody is treating Pierre Elliott Trudeau as if it's Pierre Elliott Trudeau. So it must be Pierre Elliott Trudeau. So that's how it works. That's how faces parties work. And there's just one guy there who doesn't know that he's being, like audited basically. And so there's 22 secret societies that do this on a yearly basis and since 1980, since the beginning of the Fame project and Let's Do It Profesh, that they've been able to vet or babysit about 500 awful people. These are people who trade in people whole or in part, or they help people trade in people whole or in part, or they, like, yeah, basically. So Carrie Johnson is born March 17. So she's a media consultant. Duh. The publishing needs to be, like fully involved in helping out these operations. So yeah. And like I told you before, all of the stories have to have a actor, a writer, and a film director. And we have a triple threat here in the form of lost my place. So we have a triple threat in the form of Catherine Chabot. And also she's bilingual, you know, so she's this woman has everything going for her. Absolutely everything going for her. And nobody has ever heard about her. So see, these are the most important people in national security, the people you never really hear about. The media will never, ever, ever talk about a person who is doing writing and film directing on these psyops because their job is to focus everybody's attention on either Trump or Elon Musk or Jeffrey Epstein on a cycle, you know, because they're the ones that are supposed to be the ones who commenters project their anxieties onto. That's how you get documented online by the intelligence community. So yeah, so that was my presentation for tonight. And I've managed to do my entire presentation and have absolutely no viewers, but that's okay. You guys can watch it tomorrow. And yeah, if you have any questions, write to me at X. Although I don't even put my address on here. Oh well, no. So my website is pincognito.com, and I'll link you to my Twitter, and it has some articles on there. I have about 547 articles right now, and I'm trying to that are not published because I'm always adding information to all of my stuff. Oh, I do have this account on X, but I'm not using it. So if you want to get to the really secret X account where I gossip about all the things and I answer questions, you can go to pincognito.com. And I also have a Patreon, and I post content there I have a whole bunch of content coming up because I've done the profile of the children who are missing and the children who die in psyops, and so I can show you, how they don't change their name, they go on doing great things, and they seem to be doing really well. Like everybody that's involved in making you think the world is awful, they're all professional national security people who are executing a psyop on the worst people in the world. And all the people who really love conspiracy theories and read about the Jeffrey Epstein files on X all day long, well, you're the bystander, right? You're the bystander. Secondhand psyop is a thing. So you have to be careful because what that leads to, reading that all day, is that it leads to a depression. It will lead you to think that everybody is evil except yourself, and that's a very lonely place to live. And yeah, this is a national security strategy in times of war, and it's been going on for 10 years now, and it's still got a little while to go because we're not done yet. There's still scheduled psyops for until 2027, which means that all of 2026 will be full of psyops, and they're very fast because these are all psyops that are being executed in order to get as many people to wake up to the fact that the news is fake so that they will, start realizing that, maybe they should get a life. You see, me, I have a life. I try not to follow, like, I don't watch the news. I don't watch the editorials. I don't read magazines anymore and all that. I don't watch videos. I don't watch videos of people hyperventilating about this or that. What I do read articles, written articles about certain things. But most of the things that I care about happened 100 years ago. So the news is still going to be the same tomorrow as it was yesterday. Next March 15 in 2027, it's still going to be the same people who are celebrating their birthday. I've been doing that year over year for 5 years. And I even notice how history is changing a little bit here and there. So I don't have any proof. No, it's just stuff I noticed myself. I've looked at 20,000 people and 10,000 events, but like I'm developing a whole bunch of really interesting content. But I'm more interested in studying the method to the madness. I'm studying how professionals get together to plan the conspiracy theories that will be galvanizing for the 20th century. And all of the most popular conspiracy theorists on X are all members of the national security community who work for the first lady. Like the first ladies that are alive. And the first ladies also includes the wives of the governors. It also includes the wives of all the world leaders. So when I say that the office of the first lady is the most important national security office in the world, I mean all the first ladies and the previous ones too. So nobody could ever believe that Michelle Obama coordinates with Melania Trump and that together they schedule the news that is told to you, like what people are hyperventilating about every single day. But it takes a lot of people to do this. But if you have one communicator that you like, that you follow, and you would like to know where they come from, what their thematic is, who their team members are, and their bridge, then I can look into it specifically, right? Because everybody has their favorite whatever. When some of my readers start applying the technique that I use, the only technique that I use, which is removing 280 days from the birthday of a public figure, when they start to do that, they start sending me messages. The DMs on X are fantastic. And then we start to giggle at what they're finding. And it's fun. Anybody can do this. You ask Google 280 days before the birthday the date that you want. Then you Google the month, and then it's going to give you the Wikipedia page that has all of the events on that day. You'll usually find, and you can look at the day before, the day of, and then the next day. And if you care about the events, you'll invariably find something that connects absolutely to the life of the public figure you're investigating. So so that's what's kind of fun. And it this is all part of a strategy that is called the second time around. So I'm very happy that right now the conspiracy theorists who work for national security are all saying time travel, Trump is a time traveler, blah blah blah. Yes, there is a time traveling aspect to the second time around, and the reason why all of the events that have to do with human emancipation are all registered neatly in Wikipedia is because it's unbelievable, right? So the only way that you can believe in the true story of humanity is for you to constantly be looking at coincidences every single day and letting them be, because the coincidences will still be there tomorrow. Like none of my work has to do with anything like channeling or whatever. It all has to do with the careful planning, staging, and of psyops in the media. And people always say, like this is the greatest thing ever because people self eliminate. Because they'll say things. Well, 400,000 people are born every day. How could you say that these two people, are meant to go together? I'm sorry, but I don't research 400,000 people who are born every day. I only look at the two people that were born that week who became famous, and they both look alike. This is you can do that in IMDb if you want to have fun. You search 48 hours in IMDb. 48 hours either way of your birthday. You'll find people who look like you, you'll find people who look like each other. And not only that, they'll be next to each other in the listing. That's the weird thing about it, is that everything is already very well organized online. Everybody already agrees on who is the most important people born each year. And when I do my study and I find my sets of doppelgangers, I have 1 week. There's two girls born. There's two boys born. The girls look the same. The boys look the same. Hey, my work is done here. I'm not looking at 400,000 people being born every day. The other way that people self eliminate out of the opportunity to know the truth is by saying, well, it's impossible for these people to collaborate. They hate each other. Well, everybody would have to be in on it. It's really, really easy to be in on it. You are in on it if you know the actual true thing that endangers humanity. There's lynch mobs, but also cannibals, cannibals and vampires. But it's weird to always be saying this again and again and again, but now people can see it specifically in the Epstein files where Jeffrey Epstein and his partner in crime, and Prince Andrew, they are working really, really hard to give the impression that they are into, dismembering people, eating people, all that stuff. And this is all triggers. This is all stuff to attract the worst people in the world. I will say this again. People look at the Epstein files, they're not looking at the right thing. The Jeffrey Vacation Gmail account was an intranet. This is when somebody says, "Oh, I want to be in business with you. I'm going to prove to you that I am trustworthy. I'm going to give you access to my email. So you're going to see me, like writing back and forth with Prince Andrew. So you're going to with the Rothschilds. So you're going to be able to see that I truly have a relationship with these people. I'm not just talking out of my ass here." And so come in. And then you don't have to send me an email. Don't worry. Go into the drafts and you write an email, you write a message there, right? And I'm going to go see them every day. So if you need anything, write it in the drafts and I'll contact you and we can, like do what we need to do. But, like you'll know for sure. Like you'll also be able to go back in time in the emails and see, that I really said the truth about, like going to this party or knowing that person or whatever. And so this is how it works. So the Gmail is used as an intranet, and the marks are writing drafts, thinking that they're not, like they won't be this. They're not documenting themselves, as wanting illegal things. And then the clowns, of the circus, they just do a whole bunch of stuff to prove that they have access to the royal family. Like Kevin Spacey and Ghislaine Maxwell, they took pictures of themselves in the throne room at Buckingham Palace and then sent them to people and said, "We told you we control the royal family. Look, there's the pictures of us sitting on the throne." So yeah, so this is all orchestrated and organized very carefully, and it's all a system to detect and destroy royal hangers on and Patrick Bateman types, in C suites, or it's called the horrible bosses. Uh, Horrible bosses. It's a great name. That's the operation. And so 13 industries in the past 30 years have gone through systematic audit, and they do that using celebrities that are helping the the 13 industries complete their audit cycle. And I'll tell you the story of Mimi. she's the gatekeeper in these companies, who is standing between Patrick Bateman and the CEO. So I'll tell you about Mimi. Mimi is very important. And what is really cute is that on the Drew Carey show, if you watch Drew Carey, Mimi, the character, the clown looking woman, she's standing in between Drew and Craig Ferguson. Craig Ferguson's the boss in this TV show, which is completely hilarious because Craig Ferguson is the body double of Prince Charles. So there's a whole bunch of people who told Prince Charles, their nefarious plans for the future, but they were actually talking to Craig Ferguson. And Craig Ferguson is the he's Scottish, but he's like British specifically. So that doesn't so he would have to be next to a British person so that they could detect document traders for England or for Britain, whereas yeah, or for Canada perhaps because we're in the Commonwealth here. So Canada is in the Commonwealth, so is the UK. France is kind of independence, which is really interesting. That's the home of psychological warfare, the French psychological warfare that nobody understands. That comes from there. And the Americans. But the Americans is the really like the workshop of freedom. Like it's really interesting how we've been in the bridge too far of American freedom for about 10 years. But we just have to watch it play out. Um, the people who have, like they have people, everybody in the United States has the freedom to document very clearly the kind of person that they are on the internet so that everybody in the future will know. And they have the ability to write down all of the abnormal psychology of humanity so that, Luke 8:17 comes through because every single thing about the human condition has to be documented somewhere. This is a promise. Once this is done, we can have nice things, but not before that. So, yeah, so that's, like what I wanted to tell you to remind you that there is everything is told to you. Like the news is not lying so much because they are reporting, they are they are talking about the things they are supposed to talk on the right day. They're not necessarily saying anything useful about it, but that's fine because the information is available elsewhere. So when I listen to the news, I go beyond the news and I go get the information that I'm supposed to get. So maybe once my software is ready, I'm going to be able to stream live while I'm working. So we'll go through Twitter together and I'll get caught on something random, like on my For You page. And then I'll go and show you in my software how I solve this and how I get more information out of things that people just share, without ever delving into. It's been 5 years of me doing this on Twitter, and you'll see that I've said that I'm not the national security circus. All of the people who have the big accounts and are controlling the readers on X. They're not allowed to acknowledge that I could ever exist, and they haven't. 5 years. So that's kind of interesting. There's some people who go against this, you know, like one person he says one person like because they all have a theme, right? So if you have a conspiracy theorist and his job is to tell you that clones exist again and again and again and again, and I'm here saying, well, actually cloning is wrong. And there's a whole bunch of people doing a really, really, really amazing, amazing psyop about cloning. There's one in the US. There's one in the UK. There's one in Canada. So there's two different kinds of cloning psyops. that are going on. And this is what Jeffrey Epstein was involved in. And the it's still a fascinating, like, I have content. I can tell you how the why and how the cloning psyop existed, how it was planned, how it was staffed, how it was executed, how it was disclosed, and what goes on next. But but I go against people who are telling you clones are real, clones are real, oh, everybody's cloned, blah blah blah. But they're supporting the story that is attractive to the worst people in the world. There has to be a whole bunch of conspiracy theorists who are always talking about the official story of the edge creates a wall for regular people, but it creates attraction for people who have bad ideas. So I hope that, you know, I've already been on this journey with a few dozen people, and we do research and we have a lot of fun, and it's like worthwhile on its own. But the primary things that my readers write to me is, you've helped me see things in a different way. I'm less depressed. I'm more happy now. And then they send me the things they notice in the TV shows and the movies that they watch. And I'm like, yes. So today I sent a message to one of my readers. I said, congratulations on your upgrade. Because now he can see all the little references to the things I've been saying for 5 years uh, on my feed or on my page on X, and 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 it's an upgrade. So once you upgrade your point of view to see the coincidences, you don't have to believe anything. You can just leave them there. The coincidences are not going to go away. They were filed a long time ago. They're impossible to delete. We're looking at a blockchain. So you don't have to worry about it. The information is still going to be there tomorrow. Nothing that I discuss comes from secret sources. I mostly use Wikipedia to do my research. And it's got all the important people in there, and it's got everything that's important about them in there. And if you're afraid of telling people that you're using Wikipedia to do research, well, eh. But I've decided that it's not worthwhile for me to worry about people who want to know the least amount of information as possible. Like when people say, I don't read Wikipedia, it's full of lies. I'm sorry, but I don't, read Wikipedia to find things that people usually lie about in their Wikipedia, sincerely. I want to know which movies they made, which books they wrote, when these things came out. I might look at the plot of movies and things like that. Like, none of this are things that are fudged in Wikipedia. So, so Wikipedia is very useful. It's got all the dates in it. And it's very important that if you find something compelling on X, but the person who's posting it, they're saying, oh, look at the latest thing, and they don't include the date, they crop the date out, then the communication is kind of meaningless because everything is important. Date, even the hour something comes out, because many things happen during the day. And so the date is the most important thing. We'll always reiterate this. It's all about the date. And today was March 14th. And is it Pi Day? Wait, what's Pi Day? Like, do people still celebrate? Yeah, today was Pi Day. Hey, I didn't even celebrate this. Pizza Pie Day, right? So anyhow, so on today we had a whole bunch of coincidences. Last time our main keyword was Astor. So that was on 12th. And or on the 11th. And today our main keyword is oh no, what is our main keyword? I still have to add my keywords. But we saw how the king of the circus travels through time. So we had they're not coming up anymore, the people, are they? Yeah. So we had Milton Green, who made the Milton Green, who got together with Marilyn Monroe to make The Prince and the Showgirl. And this is the conception event of the new king of the circus, Prince Albert of Monaco, born also on March 14, 9 months after The Prince and the Showgirl, right here. And he is the reincarnation of Albert I, who is Albert, you know, who's Albert Einstein. So, yep, that's there is this astonishing video that was made of that time when Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio went to Albert Einstein's house. I usually want to talk about it, but like it's really funny. So it's a sort of like they remade a spoof of this moment, and it's a woman trying to explain the theory of relativity to Albert Einstein. But what is even more fun is Marilyn Monroe's theory of relatives, because everybody is related to Marilyn Monroe in way less steps than Kevin Bacon is related to anybody in movies, right? And this is really fun, is Marilyn Monroe's theory of relatives. So yeah, as if you watch this over a few days, you'll see that Pink Lady also came out March 14, is about the children of Marilyn Monroe. And you can go watch this show. It's really campy. It's kind of a lot of fun. And there's always, like references about Marilyn Monroe and about, everybody on the show being relatives. And yeah, everybody in entertainment is actually relatives. The Hollywood is 100% nepotistic, and so that's why the gift that goes around, it's all of them, is kind of cool, because it is, in fact, all of them. Everybody in Hollywood is a member of a national security apparatus ever since Hollywood was founded by the king of comedy, Max Sennett, who is the son of Thomas Edison and the father of Marilyn Monroe. So we'll go through this at some other time. All of the things that I had to tell you today are 100% original conspiracy theories. It's all unbelievable. That's my guarantee. And this is also an exposition of the greatest way um, to embargo information for a long time is you put it in humor and you put it in unbelievability. And yeah, that's how it works. I hope you have a nice evening, and I hope you have a fun day tomorrow, Sunday, March 15. And I'll talk to you soon. I don't know when I'm going to stream again, but I stream when there's interesting things going on. So I'll tell you tomorrow what's coming up. Good night. Okay, so I have viewers. There's 4 of you, but I was monitoring it and I couldn't see it. So I still have to fix that. But anyhow, good night. I have to stop streaming now.